You're listening to episode number 8 of the Indie Film Tribe podcast with me, your host, Angela Matamocha. Welcome. Here and thank you Indie Film Tribe for listening today. I'm really stoked, very excited to introduce to you this actor, writer, producer that I have on the line. As an actor, she most recently appeared in This Is Us, Pure Genius, and Speechless. Ladies and gentlemen, Becki Dennis.
Yay! I love that intro. Thank you so much. That's so sweet.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much for being here. Becki, I've got to ask you, well, first of all, one of the reasons that I wanted what I wanted to talk to you today is because I have just been watching you over, gosh, quite a few months now, and I just find you to be so inspiring and so uplifting and a go-getter in such a balls out way. It's freaking fantastic.
Oh, thank you.
Congratulations. Let me go ahead and just start and just dive right in. What
Yeah.
do you love the most about being an actor?
Well, of course, acting makes me feel so alive. And it's like a roller coaster ride. You know, you feel the thrill of it. All of the ups and downs. It's a journey. And so, personally, I got into acting, caught the acting bug in my teen years because it was kind of like a therapy for me, a way of expressing myself in a way that I got through my teen years and, the problems that all teenagers face. And so I've carried that into my, adulthood and using acting as a form of expressing myself and taking on different personas. And then on a less personal, those are my selfish whys of why I do it. And then my unselfish whys is, to try and, storytelling with a purpose, serve people, inspire people. And so I think it's good to connect to the reasons why we love it and then why we like to, touch other people's lives through performance.
It's so interesting that you said that because one of the things that I noticed about looking over your most recent bookings, two of the shows, especially Speechless and This Is Us, are shows that do exactly that, that really touch on very important issues in such a wonderful way. So that's interesting to me how that it is your mission as an artist, and then you end up being on shows that are in complete alignment with your mission. That's fantastic.
Yeah, it's amazing how I'm very grateful that that happened. When I first saw the trailer for Speechless before I knew that I was going to be working on it, I go, this looks like an awesome show. The way it tackles diverse, the way that it has inclusion and diversity and a lead that actually has cerebral palsy, and so it's groundbreaking in that way. And I thought this is a show that I'd really love to work on. And then I did get to work on it. And This Is Us, I fell in love with the show. It became one of my favorite TV shows, and I was just so excited to get to work with that on that show. And Helen Hunt directed the episode I was working on, which was an extra bonus. So yeah, that was a really special experience working with the boy who plays young Kevin. He's Parker Bates, and he was just a really, really gentle, kind soul. And to work with someone so innocent and sweet was really, really nice.
You're right. It's such a great show. It's currently one of my favorite shows. And it's funny because I usually don't spend a whole lot of time watching network television, but this show is it's outstanding. It's outstanding. They both are.
Yeah.
Okay, so you have had this tremendous success, which is just so inspiring and fantastic. But I know you're not from LA. How long have you been in Los Angeles?
I have been in Los Angeles for 2 years. And my first year, I left LA for 2.5 months in the summer. So I guess, so it wasn't really a full 2 years yet. So, but yeah, the first year I had to, I'm married, I've been married for 5 years. And, I had to kind of do long distance with my husband the first year, which
Ah,
was tricky, until, he could get his job moved out here, and just different things that were going on. So, that was challenging, but we survived that, and he's out here now, and
ah, that's great.
yeah.
That's great. All right. So tell me this. You have these terrific co-star network credits. How did you get your first co-star credit? So many of the actors I talk to and coach, they're trying to get, they're trying to create their own projects. They're trying to do all sorts of things. And then I look at their credits and there's no television credits. And today that seems to be such an important thing. So for you, Becki, what did that look like from going to no television credits to boom, 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 boom credit?
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Yeah. So I'm from the Boston area, and I worked there for a number of years as an actor. And the tax incentives, that Massachusetts ended up getting started. A lot of film production started happening in Massachusetts. So I got my first actually credits in film out in Boston. Starting with, I started with extra work and short films, indie films, student films, and then ended up when American Hustle came to town to shoot. A very serendipitous opportunity came, and I went from featured background and upgraded to principal. And
Wow.
yeah, and so I shot 5 scenes with Amy Adams in American Hustle. 4 of them were cut, but 1 remained.
Oh, man.
Yeah. And so I did that, and I had a small role in Ted 2 as well, shot in Boston.
Great.
Yeah, and after those roles, and then I did a independent feature film called Spin the Plate as well, that I was the lead in as well. And so after these 3 things, I kind of approached my Boston agent at the time, and I said, I'm looking to kind of break out of, because for many years I was content with kind of being a big fish in a small pond.
Right.
And when people would say, "Oh, have you thought about moving to LA?" I would be like, "No, no, no, it's going well here. I don't want to. There's a lot of work here, and I'm doing well." And so I kind of was shying away from stepping out of my comfort zone. But I came to a point where I was starting to think about breaking out of my comfort zone. And I was thinking about New York as the next step, because New York's close to Boston.
Closer.
A lot of Boston actors, travel to New York and kind of do the, juggling between those 2 cities. And my Boston agent said, "Well, what do you think about going to LA for pilot season?" And my initial instinct was like, "Oh, I don't know about that. I don't know about leaving my husband for a few months." And so I was kind of like, well, let me just try New York first. And so I started to go down to New York and do casting director workshops. I met with the manager there. And it wasn't really gelling in New York for some reason for me. And everything just started aligning for me to come to LA. It was like it was fate. I had an opportunity to come out here to the American film market in Santa Monica, which, for those of you who don't know, is it's people go to buy and sell films, and there's conferences and films. A lot of films get screened there, and so.
Let
Sorry.
me pause you for one
Sure.
second. No, just so, and I'm glad you explained what the American film market is.
Yeah.
What, if you don't mind me asking, what brought you to AFM?
So I had been thinking about coming to promote my film Spin the Plate.
Okay, let's pause again. Rewind.
Okay.
There's so much going on with you before you
I know, it's a
arrive,
lot.
before you even arrive in LA. I'm like,
Yes.
okay, hold on.
I know,
This is
there's
great.
like a lot.
This is great, though. Okay, so Spin the Plate, just so our listeners understand, this is a feature film that you star in and that you also produced, executive produced. Is that right?
Associate produced.
Okay, so you
Um,
associate produce it and you shot it in Boston. Is that right?
Both in Massachusetts and New Hampshire. New Hampshire's close to Massachusetts, so we did both. Yeah, and so we had been thinking about bringing Spin the Plate to AFM, because they take projects at all stages. It
Yep.
doesn't need to be completed. We were done principal photography shooting, but we weren't It wasn't completed post yet. On another subject, there's a publication called Imagine Magazine, which covers the film industry in New England. And I had been freelance writing for the publication. And the publisher of the magazine, Carol Patton, a wonderful woman, she was struggling with breast cancer. She's completely cancer-free now, but at the time, she usually went to AFM every year to cover AFM, and she couldn't go this year because she was going through chemo. So she offered for me and my good friend Carlin Fournier, who's also a wonderful actress and filmmaker, to come to the American film market on her behalf, and cover it as press and attend for free, which, it's a very expensive event. So
It is.
as long as we, wrote about, AFM, we could come. So at the same time, I had been going down to New York, as I said, and I was getting feedback in New York that my headshots from Boston weren't good enough in New York. And so I had looked online, the Actors Connection, which I had been going to, and they had a list of recommended headshot photographers, and I'm going through all their sites and I'm narrowing it down to my top photographers. And with my husband and with my Boston agent, we chose a photographer named Peter Canerco. So I was going to go with Peter Canerco. And so I contact Peter, and he says, I don't know, I no longer live in New York. I now live in LA. And so I'm like, oh, back to the drawing board, and my husband's like, well, why don't you just go to LA to get your headshots? So this is all happening at the same time as the American Film.
As AFM.
So I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to go to LA. I'm going to go to AFM. I'm going to get my headshots. But I wasn't really thinking about moving to LA.
Wow.
So, and then my Boston agent says, Becki, I'm going to try to get you meetings with agents and managers while you're in LA. And even though I had kind of resisted him and said, I'm not really ready to go to LA for pilot season, he kept pushing me. Thank you, Andrew Wilson. So long story short, a couple days before I go to LA, my agent says to me, I'm so sorry nobody got back to me. And I said, it's okay. I really appreciate you doing that for me. I'm so excited to go to LA for AFM and the headshots. Thank you so much. I fly, get on the plane. And now I always purchase internet now and stay connected while I'm flying. But at that time, this was 2014, November 2014. I guess I just slept the plane ride, or I didn't check my email on the plane. So I land, and please tell me if this story is going too long.
Yeah, land. So you land.
Okay,
What happens?
okay. So I land and open up my phone, and I have an email from my agent. He says, this one management company got back to me. They're called the Entertainment Lab. They do a lot of TV bookings for actors. And so they're willing to meet with you if you're willing to move to LA.
Oh, wow.
So, I'm scrambling to look them up and see, okay, they're legit. They're SAG-AFTRA approved. I see that, so-and-so's with them and I know them and they're doing well. So it must be okay. And
yeah,
I call my husband and I'm like, what do I do? What do I say? And he's like, well, just go for the meeting and then see what happens. So I tell Andrew, okay, I'm willing to move to LA, even though I really didn't know what I was getting myself into.
Oh my gosh.
So this is on a Friday. He lets them know she's willing to move, we'd like to set up a time. So anyways, I go to AFM Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Over the weekend, I'm doing research on the company. I see on Facebook that a friend of mine had liked their Facebook page. And I reached out to her. I said, what do you know about them? She said, they're great guys, young, they hustle, da-da-da. Monday rolls around, it's my headshot day. I'm supposed to leave LA on Tuesday morning. So headshot day, and my Boston agent, Andrew, gets back to me and he says, I'm so sorry they didn't get back to me with an appointment. So even though he said, she's willing to move. There was no official appointment set up. So I went to my headshot session, and I get out of my headshots at about 4 p.m. And I know that they close at 7 p.m. the office because I had researched them. And I'm supposed to go to the premiere of Mark Wahlberg's The Gambler at the Dolby Theater that night too. So
just throw that in.
Yeah, just throw that in. So I'm planning to head from Headshots in Eagle Rock, for those of you in LA,
Oh
to
my God.
Hollywood in rush hour. And I need to be there like an hour early, you know, to the premiere, and I haven't eaten then. So I was going to grab a bite and da-da-da. Something told me to pull over. I pulled over, as I'm heading there, I pulled over to a random parking lot. And I just thought, if this is going to be my opportunity, I need to take it now. And I need to do something about this. Something was telling me that. And so I asked my friend, the one that had said they were good, what do you think about me just going there? She said, go for it. I asked my agent too, because I didn't want to do anything to make him look bad, you know. He said, go for it. And then one more thing I did, because I didn't want to be unprofessional, I called myself and I asked if I could come in. And the person who answered the phone wasn't the one who knew my friend, wasn't the one who had been in contact with my agent. So I'm thinking, this isn't going, you know, they're not going to say yes to me. For whatever reason, they said yes to me coming in out of nowhere. So I went in and I met with them, and you know, I was unprepared. I didn't have my headshot and resume with me. It was so last minute. But you know, they just watched my footage while I was meeting with them, my demo reels and everything. And they were like, you know, we want to see more. And so the next day on the plane, this time I bought internet, and I pulled up all my clips that I could that weren't in my reel, sent it off, and they said, we want to represent you on a trial period for pilot season. And so that was, I had flown back to Boston, and I'm, you know, hearing that they want me to come out. I thought it was going to be a few months. They ended up saying they wanted me there from January through May. So, so I had a month and a little bit to get everything together to figure out where I'm going to live, how I'm going to get my car out there, how I'm going to make this work with my husband, how I'm going to, you know, everything, you know. And so I've been with this company now, Entertainment Lab, since January 2015. After the trial period, they signed me, and they've been wonderful. They get me out on a lot of auditions. My first year and a half in LA, I struggled with booking. I was booking the room, as they say, getting into repeated offices. But even when I would do really well, I wouldn't book it. And so
let me ask you this real quick,
sure.
Becki. During that trial period, when they were sending you out on auditions, did you book anything during that trial period?
I didn't.
Okay. But you were getting good feedback from casting. You must have been.
I didn't. What I did do, I was also self-submitting and booking small things on my own, like student films and, you know, small commercials and 48-hour film projects. And so I was definitely keeping busy, and I was in class, and I did the Second City Hollywood Improv program and graduated from that. I did casting workshops, and I did you know, an audition technique course for 12 weeks. And
okay, so let's pause real quick.
Okay.
No, this is great. And I just want to make sure the actors that are listening. Okay, so Becki, was here for a trial period, not booking anything. But if you listen, she was not just waiting for her agents to figure it out for her. She was in class. She was doing casting director workshops. She was submitting herself on student films, small commercials. She was doing everything in her power to work. So I just want to put that out there, because I think so many actors fall into the trap of, okay, I have an agent now, I'm just going to wait.
Exactly. You know, they make 10%, so you have to do 90% of the work. Also, throwing this in here, I had a business that I ran for 3 years called Talent Tools. And I helped actors with their marketing tools. And I forgot to mention that I ended up deciding to go for my acting career 100% that January. And I left the business in other people's hands.
Wow.
So, and I came out here on savings, and I pursued my acting career every single day for those 5 months.
Every
Um,
single day. Okay, let me ask you this because a lot of actors hear this like, okay, if you want to, you got to be smart about the business of acting. You need to work on your acting career every single day. What might that look like? Let's say it's a Monday, you have no auditions. How do I work on my acting career today?
yeah, so I was self-submitting every single day. I was there's so much you can do for your career in LA. It's not a question of like you could seriously do something every single day for your career. There's always events, there's always some free workshop you can audit. There's always a networking event you can go to, or if there's not if there isn't anything going on that day, which is rare, there's screenings, there's um I'm a member of SAG, so I go to the SAG Foundation and casting workshops. And if you're at home, maybe it's researching what's casting right now. Maybe it's research. Maybe it's researching the casting offices. Maybe it's working on your website, headshots, business cards, postcards. I mean, it's endless. So there's always something you can be doing. And so I decided, before I was making money at it out here, and I had been a working actor in Boston beforehand, and so that was hard to go backwards a little bit. When you move to you could be somebody in one market and come to LA and start over. I mean, not really. It helps that I had credits. They got me in the
You had
room,
tape. You had tape, which I
but
think was crucial.
I wasn't making any. I mean, it's
Yeah.
embarrassing to admit, but I wasn't making any money, and I, blew through my savings. You know what I mean? But you have to treat it like it's your vocation before it's your vocation, in order for it to become your vocation. I think that was something Chris Game says that. I think I went to his workshop.
All right, I'm going to pause and say
Yes,
that again. Say that again.
you have to treat it like it's your vocation before it becomes your vocation, in order for it to be your vocation.
Love
So
that. Love
yeah,
that.
so you really have to treat it like it's your career, like it's your full-time job.
Whether you're getting paid for it or not.
Exactly.
It's
And then
sort of acting like the as if, and
yes,
then
and
that
then it will
as if
come.
becomes
The money will
reality.
follow. When they say do what you love and the money will follow, it doesn't mean immediately.
Right.
It's so yeah, it takes time. And through that trial period, I consistently updated my managers with what I was doing. And so they saw that I was serious and that I worked really hard. And so
Oh,
they
smart.
they stayed interested in me, even though I wasn't making money for them. I did get some callbacks. I did get put on a veil for something,
Yeah.
and almost got something that paid really well. I got so close, and so they saw that I was, someone that was eventually going to make the money.
That you were going to. They believed in you because it
Thankfully.
sounds like you clearly believe in yourself because you were pushing so hard. You were submitting yourself. You were out and about going to events. Let me ask you this, and especially coming from Boston, when you first arrived, did the fact that you're not a size zero, as I'm not either, I'm a plus size, I'm saying this with air quotes, we're sort of plus size actors, did this ever come up for you in your psyche? Was there a thought about this?
Yeah, I mean, weight's been something I've struggled with my whole life. Even when I was thin and in shape, I didn't know it. I look back at pictures and I go, gosh, I looked good in high school, and I didn't know it, because distorted body image and all
Yep.
kinds of things. So um, I'm finally at a place now where I accept myself for who I am, regardless of what the scale says and regardless of what my size is. But it's been a journey. It doesn't happen overnight. When I did, meet with my Boston agent in September of 2014, before I came out on that trip in November of 2014 to AFM, during that same meeting we had where I talked about you know, stepping out of my comfort zone and pursuing other markets. I did at the time, I was trying to lose weight. I had been on a very serious diet for a little bit over a month where I was low carb, salad for lunch and dinner, exercising every day, and the scale wasn't moving and I was frustrated. And I told him that, and he said, Becki, have you ever thought that maybe the fact that you're bigger is an asset? It's
Please hear that, actors that are listening. Please hear that. I think so often we get caught in the trap that we are not enough the way we are, that we have to lose weight, that we have to do this, we have to get bigger boobs, we have to change our nose, we got BS.
You're fine as you are. I was told in a workshop in 2008 or 2009 in Boston, there was a workshop called How to Get an Agent in New York While Living in Boston. And the teacher of that workshop, in front of a room full of probably 50 actors, when I stood up and I asked a question, I don't even remember what the question was. It wasn't about my weight. It was about something else entirely. And he body shamed me in front of the whole room. And he said, you have great hair and great skin, but you're not going to work because of your size. Or, he said something like that. And that kind of, it kind of stuck with me. And he was completely wrong. And now I love to just see he's an actor too. And I love to see, hey, I'm doing better than you. I think you were wrong. But I've been very blessed to have reps that believe in me and that have never said anything about my size needing to change. And so if you ever encounter that, to you actors out there, if you ever encounter going to an agent or manager meeting and someone tells you, or even an acting teacher, somebody tells you that you need to lose weight to work, it's just simply not true. So it's amazing. I'm so grateful that the industry has embraced me for who I am. And I think if you have confidence in who you are and if you embrace who you are, then that will show. If you go into the audition room feeling insecure about your body, that will not book you the work, because they can read that if you're not confident. So confidence is key. Love yourself, and you don't need to change.
Yay!
Yay!
I love that, because it's so true. We have so many women that are literally starving themselves in Hollywood, thinking that they have to be a certain size in order to work. Now, I will say for certain maybe ingenue types, I think it might be a little bit different if we're a character actor.
Yes.
But even there, I feel like we're seeing some changes happening in television where you do have a leading lady
Yes.
that isn't a size 0. And I'm just so grateful for
Yeah, it's definitely changing. I've spoken with other plus size actresses about this. TV is opening up opportunities, so many more opportunities for plus size women. Film is a little bit slower to change, it seems, but it will probably happen too. TV is just opening up diversity in general, the opportunities. So when I was in high school and I was thinking about what I was going to do with my life and what I was going to go to college for, I decided to major in theater, because I never thought film and TV would be an option, because I thought you had to be a size 0.
Yeah.
And so I didn't think it was an option. And I'm so pleased to find that that's not the case. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I could just listening to you all day long.
Yeah.
It's so funny because so often I have, people come on the show so our audience can learn. And I tell you, each time I'm the one that's learning and getting inspired.
Oh,
all the
that's
time.
awesome.
I love it.
Awesome.
I love it.
And I know you asked about, and I kind of went off on a tangent, but I could come back to, booking my first TV credit. If you'd like to elaborate on that.
Yeah, let me just sort of set it up just so we're kind of clear on your timeline. So you come to LA, you have these great managers, they finally decide to rep you, even though you didn't book during the trial period, but because you were such a go-getter and doing everything that you could on your own and letting them know what you were doing, they signed you.
Yes.
So they signed you, and now you're in LA and you're auditioning. Continue.
Yeah. So they signed me, and I continued to, audition a lot. Um, and building relationships with casting offices. And I was a lot of times I was getting, they wanted me to get coaching, and, because they were trying to figure out what is it that's not working. So I'd get private coaching before every audition. And it was a lot. And, you know, June of 2016, this year rolls around, and I'm about to head back to Boston for a little bit over a month because I had a friend's wedding and baby showers and bridal showers, and I had all this stuff to go to. So I thought, okay, I'm gonna, go back to Boston during.
Okay, so pause. So this is now June of 2016, and you have not yet booked with your managers yet.
Right, and my
All right.
husband moved out here, took the leap of faith with me, with and he took the leap of faith even with me not having booked anything, just
Ah,
going based off my insistence that this was going to work out, right? So he's out here now, and we've gotten rid of our apartment in Massachusetts, and shipped, drove his car cross country, shipped my car, all of our furniture, everything.
okay, so it's June. You go back for
Oh,
wedding.
before I do that,
Ah,
so I'm about to go back again for the summer to Boston to visit, and I go on one last audition before the it was like June 1st before I left. Okay, so
I'm going to pause you really
yes,
quick. There
yes,
is this saying, and I'm sure you're so aware of it. You want to book a job, book a flight.
yes,
Book a job.
it's very true, because what happens is they said to me, we have this audition for you for Pretty Little Liars, and you need to be available these dates. And it was like June 8th to June 14th, right? And so my best friend's bridal shower is on Sunday, June 12th. And I am her matron of honor, and I've planned the shower, so I can't miss this.
No way.
So I told them I can do any other date but Sunday, June 12th. And I'm assuming it's okay, hopefully, because they don't typically shoot on
Shoot on
Sundays. But
weekends.
you
Yeah.
never know. Sometimes they tell people, well, don't come then, if you're not available the whole. Sometimes that happens. So they said, you still come to the audition. Um, so I went to the audition because I figured I could rearrange flights if I needed to, or do a
Right.
red eye or whatever, and I almost turned it down because of the conflict. So I ended up going to the audition. Let's just see what happens. And that was my first TV show that I booked in LA, was Pretty Little Liars. It was my first time in for The Office, which was different than what I thought it would be, because I thought my first credit would be The Office, that has had me in 5 times, and so it doesn't necessarily have to be that way. This Is Us, I had been into that office many times, but it's not
Okay.
always. Yes.
This is great. This is so important what you're bringing up. Okay, so you book your first television role after auditioning for how long with your management company?
A year and a half.
A year and a half, guys. Are you listening? A year and a half to book her first television role. It takes time, people. It takes time.
It does. And I know that, some people might say, oh, you haven't been out here, that you did well getting your first credit after only a year and a half. But when you're pursuing your career every single day and you're actually auditioning, I was actually getting out a lot. It does feel like a really long time, especially when you've moved your whole life and everything around this dream. And so the interesting thing about that audition was I didn't get private coaching. I worked with a friend on it. I still went in prepared, but I was a little bit more relaxed because I didn't want it so bad, because I knew that getting it meant rearranging my plans. And so I didn't want it so bad. And I hadn't really been a fan of the show. I mean, I hadn't really watched the show. I mean, I watched a little bit of it, like I do before every audition, to understand the style and tone, but I wasn't like the Pretty Little Liars fan club, you know? So I think the fact that I didn't want it so bad, you know, I was more carefree and relaxed. And so that helps. And so I've tried to replicate that ease and that
Mm.
and so since then I've kind of tried to, after that it helped me book more because I tried to, you know, replicate the carefree attitude and just enjoying the audition and not needing it so much, because they can read that desperation even if you don't think you're desperate. It could be subconscious, it could be, you know, you don't know what's coming across. And so um you don't want to try too hard at the same time as you want to be prepared, but you don't want to, I don't know if that makes sense.
It does.
You don't want to overthink it either. You want to go with your instincts, you know.
And especially for co-star roles, those are, I often think, harder to book than when you have 3 or 4 pages of a story arc of something for your character to do, as
Mhm.
opposed to a couple of lines. Those are really hard to book. They really
Yeah,
are. Because
yeah,
and they're hard to book because of what you just said. You want to be prepared, but you don't want to be overly prepared. You want to be carefree, but not too carefree. You want to throw it away, but not totally throw it away.
yeah, yeah. And you want to be nice to them, but you don't want to be too nice. It's like it's like it's a really like hard line to walk, but yeah.
Oh my gosh, Becky, these stories are just fantastic. And I feel like there's an element of sort of fate, faith, just this sort of other sort of forces, if you will, that have been part of your journey. So and I love to ask this question. What do you feel? Do you feel that you were put on this planet at this particular time for a specific reason, or do you feel that it's just sort of random? I'm curious.
Oh, I am such a believer in fate and destiny, and but I also believe in manifesting. And it, I don't know how that works because I do believe in fate, but I also believe in creating your own good fortune. There's some truth to both, and I haven't quite figured it out yet. But
Sounds to me like you have. Keep going.
but I do, you know, I am a spiritual person, and I do believe that this is the path. It does feel like I'm on the right path. I do believe that rejection is just redirection. I
Say
was
that again.
Rejection is just redirection. I was pursuing. I was a musical theater major, and I tried to pursue that route for many years, musical theater, and I kept. You know, I had a little bit of success, but it wasn't working. And as soon as I got into the on camera acting, things just started moving in a way that it was like, oh, this is the path I'm supposed to be on right now. That doesn't mean I'm not going to come back to the theater at some point. You know, I would still love to be on Broadway at some point, but maybe I'm supposed to do TV first. And, you know, and so I just kind of, you have to go with, you know, the things that are gelling. You know, New York wasn't really lining up for me. It might have been more practical because it was closer to my family or whatever. But you know, LA has been a better fit for me, and I love the sunshine. so, so, so yeah, I do think here right now at this time, I'm supposed to be here right now at this time for whatever reason doing this, and hopefully, you know, one of my things that I would love to do is just to inspire people. So
Can I just say, I mean, I just want to take a moment to just thank you and acknowledge you for the spirit you have. You have this it's I can feel your spirit. It's
me
very
too.
strong. Yeah, and you're just such a lovely spirit, and your energy and your vibration is just so high. And I know you guys, that are listening, I don't know if you can feel it just through her voice, but believe me when I tell you, Becki Dennis is just on fire.
Oh, thank
And
you.
you are just such a light. And thank you. I just want to acknowledge you for just
Oh,
you're fabulous.
oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
Becki, if people want to know more about you or maybe even work with you, there might be some actors listening that are thinking, gosh, I'd really like to align myself with a woman like this, to get a jump in my career? How can people learn about you or hear more about you?
Yeah, so I do have, you can check me out on IMDb. I'm there, of course, and I have my full bio up there if you want to learn more about me. I have my website, BeckiDennis.com, which needs an update because I've just been so busy.
So busy working. Sorry.
Yeah, I know. So I'll get to that at some point. I know it's a nice thing to say. And as I mentioned, I had a business before, Talent Tools, where we did marketing tools for actors. I'm kind of in the process of transitioning that to be more career coaching right now. And so I've been working with actors, one-on-one, over the phone. And I try to keep things reasonably priced. It's just $1 per minute, however many minutes you need.
Okay, guys, I'm going to pause. Hear that? $1 per minute to work with Becki Dennis. How do they do that? Do they email you? Do they tweet you?
Yeah, you can just drop me an email at BeckiDennis@gmail.com. It's BeckIDennis@gmail.com. And you can just let me know if you need some one-on-one career coaching, need advice specific to you and your situation. And I can answer your questions and help guide you in your career.
Oh, you definitely can. You definitely can. And let me ask you, what book would you recommend to our listeners that has really sort of shaped who you are, either as a person or as an artist? What is like the one book you would recommend?
I have to admit, and it's a little bit embarrassing. I'm not much of a reader, and I don't, I don't have a favorite book. But my favorite book, I say, is Facebook.
I'm sorry. That's hilarious.
I know it's kind of really silly, but I wanted to mention as well too. You can follow me on Facebook. I,
Awesome.
I've hit my friend max, but you could still hit follow and connect with me there at facebook.com/Becki Dennis, or just search for me under Becki Dennis. Buckman is my married name, Buchman. So you can search for me there too.
All right. Before we head out today, one more question. In your opinion, what is the number one tip that you have for first time actors or even just for actors in general? What is the one thing?
Don't listen to anyone that tells you that you can't do it. And don't put yourself into a box. There's a lot of people in LA that will try and type you, say you only play this type. You hear a lot about branding. Yes, there might be some truth to certain characters that you may or may not be more suited for. But what I found is that the female actors that I look up to, the Melissa McCarthy and Lena Dunham and Gina Rodriguez and these people they refuse to put themselves into a box. And I've heard them speak at events, and they didn't listen to anyone that said, oh, you're the funny fat friend, or you're they said, no, I'm, Melissa McCarthy is like, no, I'm a leading lady, or whatever it is. Gina Rodriguez was told she's a character type, and she's like, no, I'm not a character type. I'm an actor. That's all I am. And so you know what you're capable of. If you can feel you can play a role well, don't let anyone tell you that you can't play that role well. And then the other thing is, I posted this on my Facebook page. Emma Thompson gave this great interview, and she said, if anybody tries to say that you need to be a certain size for a role, you need to challenge that. And you need to ask them why. Is it because they have an eating disorder and it's true to the story, or they're an athlete? Because if it's a cosmetic reason, then what you want is a model. And so don't let anybody put down your craft. You're an actor, and if somebody wants, modeling is, we have to, I'm sure that's a very tough field in and of itself, and no, all due respect to models, but you're an actor, and don't let anybody tell you what you can or can't do. So
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for hanging out with Becki and I here on the Indie Film Tribe podcast. I hope you got a lot out of this. I know I definitely have. Thank you so much, Becki, for being here. And thank you, Tribe, for listening. Until
thank,
next time.
thank you all so much for listening.
Bye.